Hi folks, welcome to Scholar About Tarot. Just call me Mayfield, and thanks a ton for stopping by the study space. It's finally the end of the year, so I wanted to do a self-evaluation on my depth year and the project that is this channel. So how did I do? Well, we'll get to it. May I present to you today's agenda? We have a lot to get through, so let's just dive right in. Oh boy, I vastly underestimated what an endeavor that the tarot book reports are going to be. As if I'm over here making deadlines like I'm not a slow reader and a slow researcher. Yeah, that was silly of me. The bad news is I was able to get one tarot book report out, and that was the Tarot Restless, if you haven't seen it already. The good news, however, is that I do have the Dust to Onyx next on my list. The script is almost complete. This deck is a lot more meaningful to me in different ways than the Tarot Restless, and so there are some concepts and ideas that I really want to make sure I get right in the script writing phase. So it's almost done, and I do hope to get it out pretty soon, hopefully within the next month or two, depending on my workload. The better news is a lot of decks, well, not that many, but a couple of the decks that I did have on that book report list, I think there were like 12. A couple of them have been started at least. So I have been reading the Azathoth Tarot, and I've been reading the Spirit Keepers Tarot here and there too. So there is like preliminary reading and note taking happening. So it's not like I've completely fallen that behind. Although I'm not 100% sure which one is going to come next. For all I know, the way that I've been working at these, I just get a spark for one of them and then it just happens. Not unlike the way that the video essays have been going, actually. The video essays went better than expected, to be honest. And just like I said, weirdly enough, a couple of them just happened on a whim. I want to say that Los Scarabeo Lovers was probably my best in terms of production. I really enjoyed the research for that one too. It was just a wild ride, and I made so many aha moments in just researching each of the decks. So if you haven't seen that one yet, definitely give it a watch because I feel like I'm most proud of that one. Black Magic I'm proud of for different reasons. That one was definitely more on a whim than any of the other ones were, because that was an actual conference paper that I gave in 2021, and I think I say this in the video as well, but that one is my best performing video as of this recording, because it was pretty well, not like widespread, but it's really thanks to a lot of tarot tubers who shared it like in their own spaces for their audiences. So I really appreciate that. It's such an important topic too that I do want to delve into, and you'll see that a little bit more in the Dust to Onyx book report and maybe some other video essays that I have down the lines. On that note, next topic on my list for video essays in no particular order, I'm getting my notes here because I have the working titles for them too. Flowers for Black Tarot Creators, which by the way, I think Sparkle Divine Tarot has like a video in the works for that too. So definitely give her a follow and a subscription. 2 Penny for Your Thoughts, The Ethics of Scientific Racism in Tarot, and Cartomancy in Anime. I'm very excited for many of these. I was also interested in maybe taking a look at like tarot controversies, but I don't feel like I'm confident enough for that. And this isn't a drama channel. This is supposed to be a slightly educational channel, so maybe I'll yeah, I don't think I'm strong enough for that. I guess that's a good segue for future plans for this channel. 2022, I gotta admit, was full of job changes. So it was really difficult for me to be as consistent as I wanted. I went from 2 part-time jobs to 1 full-time job in the career that I wanted to be in, and it's an excellent opportunity, and I'm really glad and grateful that I landed something like this. But oh my God, you guys, we gave morning people way too much power. Transitioning and just acclimating into the 8 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever work week it's been a lot. And that's largely been why it's been so difficult for me to put out the videos and the quality of videos that I've wanted to put out. However, my saving grace has been VRs to hashtags and other tarot channels that also produce those same videos. Watching all of your videos of you sharing your experiences and your collections in fun and creative ways, or just as a means of kind of chatting in these little prompts, like that's been a lot of fun to me. It fills me with determination. This is basically my obnoxious way of saying that you can continue to see more VRs to hashtags from me, especially in between like the laborious videos, because yes, the tarot book reports will continue for as long as I want to keep this channel up and running. But I mean, also they're pretty simple to make, and it gives me new perspective on the different decks that I have, and I find that to be just a really insightful and just creative use of my time that's worth exercising what I want to continue doing with my hobby. I do have an idea for a hashtag. It is vastly inappropriate, but I'm gonna lean into it when I'm ready to let that out into the world. Do let me know in the comments if you make videos too, and I'd be happy to take a look at those as well, because watching other people make these videos too really keeps me sharp and makes me want to continue playing with this, for lack of a better term. Now that I got the housekeeping out of the way, let's go down to the study space and take a look at my slip-ups. Alrighty, welcome to the study space. Here are the decks that I bought during my load by depth here, so strap in for the ride. Here is the first one. This is the Heavenly Bloom Tarot deck by Noah Ikeda, and this was actually a pre-order, and I'm trying to like explain how this happened to me so early on in my depth here. I was actually uncertain if I even wanted to include this, because I technically pre-ordered it maybe a week before my depth year started, or namely a week before the channel started. So at any rate, so the reason why I got this deck is that I had been eyeing it ever since it went on pre-order on US Games, and I just noticed how familiar that the art looked, and I couldn't really figure out why. There's definitely like a lot of diversity here, which I absolutely adore, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out that each of these cards and each of these characters actually has a little bit of lore attached. And like this guidebook is not like really huge. Like it's a really tiny guidebook, but it still has like a lot of decent information in it, which I really appreciate. It took me a hot second to figure out like, why does this resonate so much with me? And I figured it out. So I play a lot of League of Legends, and for those who don't know what League of Legends is, it's like it's one of those team-based like video games. You know, you pick your character or champion, as it were, and you play as that particular champion with their special skill set. And for those who are curious, my main, I have a lot of mains. I usually ADC, and I play as Varus. Jhin is my favorite, but I do have a lot of other characters that I like to play too. I'm not just in ADC. But at any rate, yeah, so each and every one of these cards looks like a splash art directly from League of Legends, and I really liked that about this deck. And what's cool is that once I did get my hands on this deck, I started using it for Dungeons and Dragons, because I do play D&D with some old friends of mine. And I have these two cards as significators for the characters that I play. This is my Divine Soul Sorcerer Suo, and this is my Cobalt Soul Monk Kiryu. Just as little significators, and what I do with the rest of the cards is, after I shuffle them, I'll usually pull a card for each scene change that we have as a note-taking method. So yeah, at least this deck gets a lot of use, which I'm absolutely grateful for. Oopsie number 2 is the Ashotele Oracle by Lolu. Same creator as the Akamara Tarot. So this one I bought secondhand. It was a steal. And I think it's in order, because I actually put it in order because I wanted to study this deck a little bit more. But I'll actually get to that in just a second. So this deck was bought secondhand on eBay, actually. And so it was like a steal at $20 just for the deck. And it was really uncanny, because I was concerned that it was perhaps like a counterfeit, but these decks normally don't get counterfeit. So I'm like, let me go ahead and dive in and just snag this copy. I was totally prepared to get like a piece of paper, like a picture of this deck mailed to me. But lo and behold, yeah, it's the real deal. It's the same gilding as the Tongues of the Mother, same cardstock as that same deck. Yeah, this is legit. Obviously, the only downside is there was no book attached to it. Although I will say that I was partially prepared for that, because at the time, or so I thought, Lolu had the text listed by a third-party print-on-demand site. So I was theoretically ready to purchase the paperback to study this deck further. Unfortunately, by the time I bought and received this deck, the listing for the paperback was taken down. Oh my god, I really hope that Lolu decides to offer this standalone book again, because I'm partially lost on each of like the words up here and what each of the masks mean. But I guess for now, I'm just going to be using this as like an affirmation deck for now. And it's really not like awful as an affirmation deck, of course. Like there are some really wonderful, just wonderful statements and stuff like that, both upright and reversed. So I can be grateful for that in the meantime. Next up, we got the Poe Tarot by Trisha Leigh Schufelt, and I hope I pronounced her name correctly. So this one was bought on a whim, kind of. I have a really bad habit of purchasing a tarot deck anytime and almost every time I walk into a bookstore, and it's been a difficult habit to break. I actually have not stepped foot in a bookstore since then. So, and the worst part is the nearest bookstore is literally around the corner from my house. And as much as I'd love to, I just couldn't risk it. So I do enjoy American Gothic literature, so I am a fan of Poe's literary works. With regards to the deck itself, I really liked the black and white aesthetic with the red gilding. And I just think that the quotes per card just added the cherry on top. Because if I'm being honest, this deck makes a really good like oracle type. And I'm recognizing that I think I just like words to be on my tarot and oracle decks. or maybe more specifically my Oracle decks, because I've mentioned on this channel before that I'm not the most intuitive reader. I need keywords and stuff like that to kind of zhuzh me along, but I do genuinely enjoy having full, you know, sentences written out on the card. And yeah, it definitely helps a lot with like journaling and stuff like that. Next up, we have the Purgatorium Hex by Mr. Friborg. So this was a present for myself, by myself, when I received word that I definitely got the job. I craved an Oracle at the time, but I really appreciated this one for the amount of structure that it has. But you would only know that structure if you read the guidebook, which I haven't extensively gone through it yet, but I have noted that there is like a particular like organization within, I guess for lack of a better term, suits in this card. It's not really spelled out for you in the guidebook on, you know, if it's you know, this symbol or this symbol, but it is organized in that way. In addition to that, I do genuinely enjoy the Puritan aesthetic. It is amazing to look at, despite all the creepy feels you might get from it. I believe it's currently on sale or on pre-order for its second printing at $40, which I'm not gonna lie, I am a tad salty about that, because I bought this for $70 before it went to, I guess, that pre-order phase for another printing. No hard feelings like at all for anyone. I'm just cheap. But yes, this is a wonderful deck to add to your collection if you like that Puritan, like old-timey look. Next up, we got the Landback Tarot and the Oracle of Colonization by Auntie K. The box is already open and emptied because I tend to reach for this deck pretty often, and it's usually out of its box anyways. I do use the Oracle separately from the rest of the tarot. I'll go ahead and show you some of that real quick. But this was also a deck that I purchased secondhand. I mean, long story short, I just missed out on the Kickstarter and really didn't want this to pass me by again, because I kind of kicked myself for not getting it the first time. And a lot of that is because this deck kind of challenged me on what I believed to be aesthetically pleasing for me. And I realized that there is so much value to these different types of art styles, because art styles like this, like, it has a purpose. And I might have said this before already, but just to reiterate, art like this definitely makes the reading experience a lot more intimate, and with such challenging and just difficult themes and feelings we're supposed to be getting from each of these cards, I think that is just a novel way of being able to let those themes into oneself, if I'm making sense. But yes, I'm so glad that this is in my collection. It's one of the more common decks that I've reached for this year, and I might even consider doing like another type, maybe not a book report, maybe more like a video essay, because I do want to recognize that my knowledge on indigenous peoples is like severely lacking, and that's really embarrassing coming from someone who has a master's in American Studies. Like, you would think I would know better, right? But at least I do know where to start. Okay, so I love that, like, I explicitly told you all in my anti-bucket list video that I wasn't interested in growing my RWS clones, but here I am about to show you two that I fell for. The first one is it's upside down. It's the Wiser Tarot. Yeah, I fell for this one too. So I do want to be clear. I do like the Wiser Tarot as an RWS Palais swap, but I'm gonna be completely blunt here. The discourse surrounding the deck when it came out was way more interesting than the deck itself. I do genuinely think there is a conversation to be had regarding the ethics of continuously repurposing the RWS with colonial themes intact, especially when using diverse palette swaps. Like, it's worth being mad about, it's worth being upset about. I would simply add that this conversation could have used a little bit more nuance. If you refer to this deck as being like a mockery to people of color, like, what does that mean for African American artists who created RWS clones, namely the Mahogany Tarot or the Melanated Classic? Furthermore, what does that mean for the couple of like black tarot readers who enjoy and use this deck like on social media or even privately? I don't really think I can add much else to the conversation, but I will say that my only regret in buying this deck is simply that I didn't realize that the Mahogany Tarot even existed until afterwards. But I mean, this is a fine deck. It did open a lot of very interesting conversations, and I do hope those conversations continue. The other RWS clone I got was the Philosopher's Tarot by Serapti? God, I hope it's Serapti and not Serapti. But these are what the backs look like. I actually think that it's such a great card back because it might actually match the philosophy cards, the Existentialist Tarot by Melanie. I want to say her last name was Mascow. This is like partially in order because I am actually like going through each of the cards just to see what I know and what I don't remember and what I absolutely do remember. So I do have a background in philosophy. So I really wanted to see how each card assigns a philosopher, and I gotta say, I was not disappointed. My only criticism maybe it's largely centered on Western philosophy. Like, the only Eastern type of philosophy / philosopher included is like Mao Zedong, as I think one of the knights. And yet, as I continued thinking about it and looking through these cards over and over again and reading some of the cards, reading about some of the cards in the guidebook, it might be the point, but it's really hard to tell. It seems as though the deck is like a commentary on Western philosophy and conversation with like the ideology of the West. Oh god, I hate using scare quotes on camera. I'm sorry, I'm never gonna do that again. But at any rate, it does make the colonial themes of the RWS a decent playing ground for that capitalist discourse that's found in this deck. And there are also philosophical concepts in this deck. So if it's not like an actual philosopher, it's a concept that's like its keyword. And I love Nietzsche as the sun. And I just thought that Kant's judgment was funny. But yes, this is the Philosopher's Tarot. I can already tell I'm gonna have just a bunch of fun with this deck. And before we get into our honorable mentions, here are 2 Kickstarters I was too weak to resist. Brooke Penrose's Tarot of the Crystal World and James R. Eads' Green Glyphs collection. Because I'm basic. Okay, kickstarting our honorable mentions. We have we have the Twilight Dreams Tarot by Notty Designs. I wanted to get this video out by a certain time, so unfortunately I can't show this deck. I bought it back in September, received a shipping notice in October after I asked for an update, and it might be on its way to the sender's post office, and that's after I followed up with them. I guess to give you a little bit of an idea of what this deck looks like, it's basically African American female presenting like fairies, and it's super beautiful in the way that you know, these fairies are like kind of looking at you in each of the cards, because I feel like she's really like talented at depicting feelings and emotions, I think. But yeah, I do hope that I get this deck soon, because I really want to use this deck in a future video. So fingers crossed that one day it will reach my mailbox. I also I bought them on sale, the Angelarium Year 1 and 2 collectibles. I really love Angelarium, and like, it's the only Angel deck that I own, but the downside is I kind of found out that Mohrbacher, the artist, was selling his art as like NFTs, and it's like, I mean, artists deserve to be supported for the art that they do, but Jesus, with NFT involvement and just AI generated artwork, the art community as a whole is not having a good time this year. Next honorable mention is a Satsurai Bito Tarot by Stasia Burrington. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. This was a gift. I have no idea who sent it to me. Looks like it's the Fuck 2020 edition, where there was a printing error where you received an extra 5 of cups, and I think it was missing a card. I mean, the card is still there. Like, you get that card in the deck, so it's still like a perfectly competent tarot deck. It also makes for a great experience whenever I wanted to check in with myself in an honest way. So I highly recommend this deck. And I thank whoever gifted it to me. Next is the Fablemaker's Animated Tarot from Hit Point Press. You can see the animations. It's actually pretty cool. So this is this was actually a pre-order for me. I think I pre-ordered it in January 2021, and it is from a long-awaited Kickstarter. Personally, I enjoyed the ride, but I'm damn sure that Hit Point Press is just salivating to be done with sending out chaos rewards. So many of their backers were just impatient and just plain mean. Like, I understand that this took 7 centuries for it to produce, but the results is absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's a lenticular deck. Absolutely gorgeous, yet the art style is very simple and it's fun. Not sure how I'm gonna work with it, since I do get a little nauseous when I look at it for too long, but I should actually note that I got the deluxe edition, and it came with, let me grab it, and it came with like this ginormous just textbook, and it has like a lot of cool stuff in it for like D&D ideas, and like see, look at this, like it actually has some really valuable Dungeons and Dragons information in here, and I can't wait to mess with it. I think there's even an NPC that they created specifically to be able to integrate the cards within the campaign. So it's just a lot of fun. By the way, what I showed you, it's from like a handful that I grabbed. This is only half the deck, and it's already the size of most like thinner tarot decks. So this deck is massive. For our final honorable mention, you're not gonna believe this one, but Kaiser Permanente playing cards. You're probably wondering why this is here. So I received this as a freebie from an event my employer was hosting, and I'm just going to show you a couple of these cards just because I was just kind of astonished at what I was looking at here. Guys, why is this a legit deck? Also, why is it upside down? Look at this. Good health is infectious. 9 of hearts. Good health wants you to come out and play. 6 of cups. Wait, no, 6 of hearts. Guys, why is this a legit deck? Which one of you works as merchandising consultant for Kaiser? Because you did a really weirdly good job for this freebie that you can get for $5 on eBay. Well, I mean, that concludes my depth here, and the depth here deck haul. Roughly 1 deck per month, which is honestly not that bad. I do specifically remember having to start this depth here primarily because I was maybe buying between 2 to 3 decks per month, and like that was a problem. So I think I would call this depth here a success. I do hope to get more videos out in a decent pace, especially as I'm getting used to my new work schedule. In the meantime, why don't you tell me about your 2022 with regards to your tarot practice or your collecting habits? A lot of people have told me it was not amazing, but I guess mine was a little too busy for me to identify whether or not it was, a good or a bad. I'm just taking it as a W. So let me know your W's so we can celebrate. Until next time, folks, Happy New Year! Bye!